I can't tell you what success is. That's something that you have to determine for yourself. You got that? So we're thinking success. So Booker T. Washington said, success is not determined by the position you presently hold, but the obstacles you had to overcome to achieve that position. So today, I want you to think about, it's going to be 4 categories or 4 segments when we think about success. So 4 areas that are needed for monumental success in life. The first is belief, okay? Belief. And belief is kind of broken up into 2 categories, right? The first is belief in something bigger than you. Now, everybody comes from different backgrounds, different ideologies, different faiths, all of that stuff. You have to determine what it is you're believing in. But the concept is you need to have some level of belief in something bigger than you. The reason for that is it allows you to stay grounded, right? So if you think about a puzzle, right? A big puzzle, there are pieces to this puzzle. If you understand that I'm just a small piece to this whole big puzzle, for one, I never take myself too seriously. That's one. But then 2, I realize that I'm just a small component to the big picture. Does anybody know how many people live in metropolitan Knoxville? Just in the area, not just the city, but just in the area, roughly. About 800,000-ish, right? How about the state of Tennessee? Anybody familiar with the population of the state of Tennessee, roughly? About 7 million-ish, something like that. How about the United States? How many people live in the United States? About 340-ish, 340 million. How about the world? About 7.7 billion, right? So when you think about the grand scheme of things, and then you come back and think about yourself, when it comes to belief, understanding that you're just a small piece of this huge puzzle, you allow yourself to stay grounded, right? You allow yourself not to get too high-minded and too full of yourself in regards to what's going on in life, but it allows you to stay grounded. So belief in something bigger than you. But the other key component to belief is also belief in yourself. How can you ask somebody else to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself? How can you ask somebody else to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself? I'm a father, right? If I don't believe in myself, how can I have my 4- and 6-year-old? How can I ask them to believe in me? Or how can I ask my wife to believe in me? Or how can I ask any of you all to believe in me in some capacity if I first don't believe in myself, right? But then I guess the next question would be, why is it that I would believe in myself? The way or the reason why you should believe in yourself is because each and every person has a gift. We all have a gift. Each of us has a gift, each of us has a talent, each of us has a skill, right? We have something or something of value that we offer the world. It's going to be unique and it's going to be different. Some mention computer science, some mention music, some mention guitar, some mention, fixing things, some mention various engineering, some mention nursing. Everybody brings something different to the table, but we all bring value. Because the moment that I understand that I'm gifted, the moment that I understand that I bring value to the table is the moment that I have confidence believing in myself, right? And so you remember the example I was talking about, a big puzzle, right? Each of there are pieces to the puzzle, and it's this big, vast puzzle that's basically the world, right? There are little small pieces, and I represent a little small piece to that puzzle. You all represent a little small piece to the puzzle. But realize this, the puzzle's not complete until your piece is in place. You got it? But you have to believe in yourself and understand that you bring that value to the table. The puzzle of the world is never going to be complete until your piece is in place. But that starts with you believing in yourself, believing in something bigger than you, realizing that you're just a small piece of the puzzle, but realizing that your puzzle piece means something in the whole grand scheme of things. So the first thing is belief, right? That's something y'all have to wrap your mind around, is belief. If you believe it, it is possible. But if you don't believe it, it ain't gonna happen. That's just real, okay? Belief. The second part of it is being motivated, but then also being coachable. Being motivated and being coachable. My biggest thing, when everybody's heard the term motivational speaker, right? Right? I honestly don't believe in the term motivational speaker. Because truthfully, if it takes me to motivate you right now, what happens when I leave? It's gone. That's real talk. You know what I'm saying? If it takes your coach getting you hyped up before the game and y'all jumping around and doing all of this, what happens when your coach walks out the room? It's like, okay, my adrenaline's gone, I'm back to normal. So motivation has to come from an internal place, right? And it's easy to be motivated if we go back to the first thing about believing in yourself. If you understand your value, if you understand what you bring to the world, it's easy for you to be motivated because every day I know that I'm going to wake up and bring that to the world. That's my value proposition to the world. But I have to be motivated, and I can't rely on anybody else to motivate me. Other people can inspire me. They can teach me different things. They can show me how to do things. But I have to be motivated myself. You got that? You got to be motivated. Like, nobody's going to motivate you. That's real. The moment that you understand nobody's going to motivate you, or nobody can effectively motivate you, that's the moment that you're free to move forward. But you got to understand that you have to dig inside and find that. So you have to be motivated, but you also have to be coachable, right? You have to be coachable. What does it mean to be coachable? Anybody? Somebody, participation here. Anybody?
I mean, just allow what someone's trying to teach you, and take it like criticism. Not like criticism, but something that you can build off on. Mm-hmm. Not like someone's trying to tear you down.
That's right. And let me tell you, being open. This is being open to learning, right? One of the things that I enjoy about going around and learning about everybody is the fact that we all learn from each other, right? But that also opens yourself up to being coachable. You're open to learning something new from your professors, from one of your classmates, to hopefully right now you learn something new about them. Maybe that causes you to step out there and reach out and say, hey man, let me learn a little bit more about what you do here. Let me learn about your mom's event business in Memphis. Man, maybe that's something I'd be interested in doing. Being open to learning. So you have to be motivated, but you also have to be coachable. Because the moment that you stop learning is the moment that you die. That's real. Old people, I mean folks who are like super, super old, who are just, who've been around the world, they're still learning every day. People who have reached the pinnacle of success are learning every day. You gotta be open to being coachable. So you gotta be motivated on your own. You gotta find that, but then you have to be coachable, okay? So the first step, you got to believe in something bigger than yourself. You have to believe in yourself. Number two, you have to be motivated and you have to be coachable. The third step is you just got to do it. You just got to do it. Like literally, once you're motivated, once you are coachable and you're able to learn something, you believe in yourself, you realize the big picture, you just got to do it now, right? You just got to do it. So what is it that limits people from just taking a step and doing things in life?
Uncertainty.
Say what now?
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty. What's certain in life?
Nothing.
Okay, so why should, and it's interesting you say that, so then why is it that uncertainty keeps us from taking steps in life?
People fear what they don't know, and because of that.
But hold on 1 second. People fear what I'm talking to a philosophy major. I'm sorry, I got to stop you before you start going to some philosophical whatever. People fear what they don't know, but in reality, what do we know about tomorrow?
Tomorrow's not even promised. You might not wake up.
The next 5 minutes isn't promised. So when we step back and we really think about this whole thing, yeah, the fear.
Doesn't exist.
That's right. It's done. So you about to get philosophical. Snip the cord right now. But to your point, the fear of the unknown keeps people from taking the steps, right? But if we're really honest about it, we really can't control what the future's holding, right? We can't control the future, and the past is already gone. So all we have right now is the moment. That's all we have. So when it comes to just doing it, there are 3 questions that I always ask when it comes to taking action to help me to decide whether I need to go for it or not. First question is, what's the worst that can happen? Literally, when you think about every situation, when you need to make a decision on something, think about what's the worst that can happen. If you think about the worst case scenario and can you handle it? If you can handle the worst case scenario, that should give you the gumption to step forward and take action on something, right? What's the worst that can happen? But then there's another part to that, is the opportunity cost. Anybody familiar with opportunity cost?
We learned more class.
Say that again?
We learned it in class.
Okay. Well, basically, we're gonna use a loose definition of it. But when it comes to opportunity cost, what's the cost of me not taking action? So, I have the opportunity to do X, Y, and Z. What's the cost of me not doing that? So when you're thinking about making a decision, what's the worst that can happen? I can deal with that, whatever that is. Okay, I might lose. Okay, fine. I can build myself up. I learned something. The next is, what's the cost of me not taking action? What's the cost of me not trying? What's the cost of me not going forward and making something happen? What's the cost, right? But then the third part that I would throw onto that, and this is something that people don't think about a whole lot. The third part is, if everything went right and things went beyond my wildest imagination, what is the opportunity there? You see what I'm saying? So when you think about that, so when you think about it in the scope of education, right? You think about it in the scope of your class, and you think about it in the scope of finishing your degree and pursuing businesses, pursuing jobs, and all that good stuff. When you think about, okay, what's the worst that can happen? You know, if by me going to school, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, I take a few hours out of my day and I miss doing X, Y, and Z. Can I handle that? Probably so. But then what's the opportunity cost if I don't go, if I don't finish, if I don't pursue what I'm called to do in life? What am I risking? I'm going to blink and I'm 21. How old, what age is now? Between what, early 20s and Z, you about 80. But either way, I mean, we're 20s, 30s-ish, you know, something in that realm. And so when you stop and you think, you're gonna blink your eyes, and you're gonna be 20 years down the road. And I wish I would have. I wish I would have done this, right? So it's like you think about it. What's the worst that can happen? But then you also think about the opportunity cost. What's the cost of not doing it? But then, if everything goes right beyond your wildest imagination, what is the possibility? Sometimes we have to start dreaming a little bit. We got to start thinking about, like, man, you know, I'm thinking I'm going to graduate and do this and make $60,000 a year and do this and do that. But man, what if everything hits right and I make $600,000 a year? What will life look like? Or what if I create this monumental business and I'm on the cover of this and I'm doing all these things and lifting all these folks up as I go? What if? You see what I'm saying? We got to sometimes think about the possibilities of what if in a positive direction. We always think about the what ifs like the negative. We always risk, you know, do the risk analysis. But think about the positive. What if I finish Pellissippi and go on to, you know, my 4-year degree? Or what if I take what I learned here and go and create something? Then I can come back and fund all these different degree programs here and put my name on something. You know what I'm saying? Just like blowing it's like the possibilities are endless. But what if you think about scenarios like that? You know, so 1, what's the worst that can happen? 2, the opportunity cost. And 3, if everything goes right, what would it look like to blow it all out the water, right? So that's the third part. So first we had belief. Second, we talked about, what was the second thing we talked about? Huh? Belief in something bigger than you and belief in yourself. What was the second thing we talked about? Being motivated and coachable. And then we just mentioned just do it. Yeah, just do it, right? And 3 things you ask yourself: what's the worst that can happen? What's the cost of me not doing it? But then, if everything goes right, how would this look if it just blew my mind, right? The last thing, and this is the most important, it doesn't matter how you start, you gotta what? You gotta what? You gotta finish. Who's the fastest man to ever run in the 100? Usain Bolt. Did anybody watch the Olympics this last year? Yeah, he got beat. Yeah, he got beat. But either way, he's still the fastest man that ever walked on earth. But if you ever watch Usain, if you ever watch Usain Bolt, he is not a great starter. He is not a great starter. Literally, through 50 meters, he's usually in 3rd or 4th place. But he has the fastest time in 100 the world has ever seen. Right? It's not how you start, it's how you finish. But if you look at his backstory, he also grew up with scoliosis. His back was completely bent. It's crazy. Like if you look at the story behind him, it's an amazing story. His back was bent until he got a new coach and they learned how to work things out and stretch various muscles and tendons and all that stuff and then train him totally different. That's when he became the Usain Bolt, the fastest man to walk the earth, right? So he started off as this kid who's talented, who's long, he's strong and all that stuff, but he has scoliosis. So he was limited. But then, look at how he finished. He's going down as the baddest sprinter the world has ever seen, right? So when you think about your life, and you think about, not necessarily right now, but we think about the end game, what does that look like? What does finishing look like? Does anybody know what finishing looks like in your life? Have you envisioned that yet? Anybody? You can nod your head. What does that look? What does it look like? Talk to him. No, seriously. Share it, man. What does finishing look like?
Finishing to me looks like I own some real estate. I also own multiple businesses, and I achieved what I set out to achieve in my life.
Okay. And so when you think about goal setting, you always start with the end in mind and work backwards, right? So what steps are you taking right now to own real estate, to own your business, and to do that?
I'm taking is to graduate with this chemical engineering degree, work my way to become the CEO of the company.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But the thing is, you start with that mindset thinking of starting with the end in mind, and you work your way backwards. You reverse engineer the process. Anybody else know what finishing looks like in their life? It doesn't have to be correct right now, but I lay in bed and I dream about what it looks like. What does finishing look like? What does 25 years from now, when I look back and I'm talking to another 18 or 22 or 25-year-old, to tell them or give them some insight, what does that look like? What does finishing look like? Somebody else, I know they don't want to talk about it, but what does finishing look like for you?
Me?
Yeah, anybody.
Me, I want to own my own land.
Mm-hmm.
Have a farm. Well, I'm trying to work off of to be a vegetarian, so I have a plan to have my own land where I just farm my own land, what I need, where I know where it came from. And I was gonna make an artificial pond and sell fish. And get more money for when I'm not working.
So you want to be a vegetarian too? You said, but you want to give meat to other people?
Yeah. Yeah, still buy it.
No, I'm just playing with you. I'm just playing with you. But you know what's funny? Again, connection. Who am I thinking about right now? Who am I thinking about right now?
This vegetarian?
No. He said he wants to live off the land. He wants to grow his own vegetables. He wants to.
Oh, my aunt. Yeah, she has her own. She has her own farm.
Yeah.
We got like 600 acres that was passed down through the generations, and she's farming on it now. We're trying to get it up and running to a major farm.
But you stop and think. Remember, it's not what you know, but who you know. But more importantly, who knows you. Right? You said you weren't down with country music, but you want to live a country life. And
I wasn't gonna say.
Look, that's the first thing I said. I was just like, of all people, they want to live off the land and have a fish and be out there fishing with the dog and the straw in his mouth. But he wanted the Migos playing though. He wanted the Migos playing though. Yeah, But that's good though. But once again though, the whole notion of connection. Then you see Jason is like, yo, I got an aunt that's doing that. She's living that life. Man, maybe I'd like to connect with her. Because she used to have a vegan restaurant here in Knoxville years ago that was awesome. And she used to do catering and once again, I'm just saying it's not what you know, but who you know, but more importantly, who knows you. Because again, it's about reverse engineering the process, right? Anybody else want to think about when it comes to finishing? Anybody? It doesn't have to be one of the students. It could be y'all aren't done yet. Y'all want to finish too. Anybody? Professors, advisors?
My finishing goal is to eventually own my own, like literally have more companies to work and people to work for. I want somebody big. I do a lot of events in Knoxville, and I want to expand. I don't want to just focus on Knoxville, but I want to expand to other areas. I enjoy my job here in Pellissippi. Don't get me wrong, but I also want to be my own boss. Eventually.
And you're taking the steps to do that. That's what I'm saying. You have to start walking. There's a book I recommend everybody. It's a book. It's probably the most, and I'll let y'all eat in a second. We're done talking. Everybody's like, man, I'm ready to eat. I look at like, how much time? Like, this stuff keep talking. Last thing. This is my favorite book of all time. I recommend it to virtually anybody. It's called The Alchemist. Right? The Alchemist is one of the most downloaded books, one of the most purchased books of all time by a guy by the name of Paulo Coelho. The whole concept of The Alchemist, it follows a guy, the shepherd boy, and he's pursuing his personal legend in life. And as he pursues his personal legend, the universe conspires to help him along the way. Right? So as you start pursuing what it is you're called to do in life, once you start walking in that direction, throughout the book, all these things that seemed like challenges, but when he looked back, were all opportunities and things to help him build and grow. They started to help him as he moved along his journey. So when you start thinking about the finish line, and you start thinking about what it is you're going to be 20, 30, 40 years from now, and how your life looks, as you start walking in that direction, and if you're very intentional about that, you'll be amazed at the folks that you connect with along the way. That'll help you along the way. Simple example, you want to have a farm, be vegetarian, and grow your own stuff, know where your food comes from, and all of that. You say that's something down the road. 2 guys over from you now, he has an aunt that's doing that right now and been doing it for years. You see what I'm saying? That's like the little connections. And that's just a simple example of how things like that work. But you have to just do it. You have to start walking in that direction. She wants to have stuff multinational all across the border, all across the world. She's starting local. Right? She's walking in that direction and being very intentional about the long-term goal. These other things will come into play as well. But y'all got to finish too. All right? It's not how you start, it's how you finish. All right? Y'all solid?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank y'all for letting me come out, man. I appreciate that.